Thursday night, October 24th. The moon has just entered the fourth quarter, which means roughly 7 more days until the new moon. Add 3 to that for doing any deep sky. The weather's finally gotten pretty decent here. You can't see anything obviously because I'm using the camera right now to just capture my voice. I'm going to open up the final roof try. I set the observatory up a little bit earlier. It had been a while, so the time was off on the system. Gemini 2 by about 30 seconds. It shows you how long it has been since I had last set up the scope. I got the Skywatcher 150 EV pointing towards the zenith. The sky is really nice. I can see I can see the dark lane of the Milky Way overhead. Cygnus is just, Deneb is just post-culminatory. And the Great Square is off at about a 30 or 40 degree angle from culmination. The plan for tonight is to come out a little bit later and recapitulate the NGC catalog from 1 to about 100, picking out the juiciest deep sky studies feasible. Probably not much more than 15 degrees below the celestial equator and maybe 45 degrees straight overhead, depending upon position in the sky and the roof tries over the observatory. So let me go ahead and set things up. I did a sync on ENIF, but I didn't like the focus of the scope. The temperature has changed considerably. Let's see if we can improve. Yes, I did improve the focus using the fine focus knob. Let's see what she looks like when you push her up to 128 flood. There we go. All right, so that's where we're basically looking in this region here when we're searching for our galaxies and other deep sky studies this evening, and we will begin with NGC numero uno in Pegasus. Okay, we just started centering up on NGC1 in Pegasus. I thought I'd give it an opportunity to develop on the screen, so we get a sense of how long it takes this roughly 13th magnitude galaxy to present itself. I'll give you the data, and it should come up really quickly because it is NGC1. It's the first entry in the database of the Gemini 2 system. There we have our view. NGC1 is a galaxy in Pegasus, magnitude 12.9. 1.7 by 1.2 arc minutes is about the nominal size for a roughly 13th magnitude galaxy. It's a spiral of the B class, so twice removed from lenticular, 202 million light years distant, puts this probably at about 100,000 light years in diameter. We're at right ascension 7 minutes and 15 seconds with a declination of plus 27 degrees, 42 minutes and 30 seconds. We are, in fact, in the sky's middle third, so we should be getting a good view. And I see a couple of galaxies up there. I'm going to go ahead and see what the next one is and tell you what it is as I go through it. Oh, there's an NGC2, and I'll bet it's a neighbor. We're just going to punch the button and watch what happens. Did we get a little bit of a shift? Indeed we did. This will probably be that more or less edgy on galaxy that we've seen in the screen. I'll go ahead and give you the data on this. It's slightly fainter, however. Remember, we're only going to look for the better views this evening in the NGC catalog because we're going to go 1 to 100 just for a quick review because we've covered everything up to NGC 1000 that have fallen within the viewable space. NGC2 is a galaxy also in Pegasus, magnitude 14.2, however smaller, 1 by 0.6 arc minutes, spiral with a lowercase ab, and more distant. So this is not a neighboring galaxy to NGC1. It's at 337 million light years, which basically puts it about the same size as NGC1 in terms of real size. About 100,000 light years in diameter. Let's look at this one for a second as I search out the next one. There's an NGC3 in Pisces, and it's above the celestial equator. However, I'm going to shut the camera down so we can make the hop. I'm really only going to be able to image between 25 and 30 deep sky studies this evening, and even then I'm going to have to quick step through it. However, so we may keep everything above the celestial equator this evening to fit everything in up to 100. NGC3 is a galaxy in Pisces, magnitude 13.3, 1.1 by 0.6 arc minutes, a lenticular spiral, a 174 million light years distant, which means it's probably about 60,000 light years in diameter. We're at right ascension 716, declination plus 8 degrees, 18 minutes, and 5 seconds. Like NGC1 and 2, NGC3 had a neighbor. This one's very faint, and I'm only including it because I want to test out the sky conditions. NGC4 is a galaxy in Pisces, magnitude 16, a 2-to-1 aspect ratio, 0.6 by 0.3 arc minutes, lenticular spiral, 226 million light years distant. Puts this one probably at about 40 to 50,000 light years in diameter. We're at right ascension 7 minutes 24 seconds, declination plus 8, 22, 24, and it was nary a click to get to this next galaxy. Let's hope we see it on the screen, because seeing 16th magnitude galaxies makes for a very good night of viewing. Okay, we are not viewing NGC5 here because it's a elliptical galaxy. They're just little fuzzballs in space. So I jumped to NGC6, galaxy in Andromeda. It's also NGC20, so 2 with 1 stroke, magnitude 13, face on lenticular spiral, so pretty much an elliptical galaxy from the point of view of its size, 1.7 by 1.6 arc minutes, 222 million light years distant, about 100,000 light years in diameter. We're at right ascension 9 minutes 32. We've gone a little further north to plus 33 degrees, 18 minutes, and 31 seconds. Skipping over some deep south galaxies, we jump to NGC9, a galaxy in Pegasus, magnitude 13.6, 1.1 by 0.7 arc minutes. I probably would not have included, except it's a spiral with a lowercase b and peculiarities. It would be interesting if we could detect them. Remember, even though we're using real-time imaging, we're not going to get really great views. We're getting basically roughly an eyepiece view of an 18-inch telescope. So this gives you a sense of what it's like to look through the eyepiece of a telescope to detect galaxies. The faintest galaxies I have seen at the eyepiece of a 22-inch telescope operating at 8,000 feet and under really good sky conditions was about magnitude 15.5 to 16. So we are definitely able to reproduce views similar to that, except for the star quality, using a 6-inch scope and a Rev 2 imaging system operating at 128 flood and 42 decibels gain, which I calculate roughly figures between 18 and 24 inches similarity in views when it comes to galaxies. Let's move on to our next study. NGC10 is in Sculptor. We're not going there. It's too low in the sky. NGC11 is pretty high in the sky. Oh, it's a nice edge-on galaxy. Let's go to NGC11. Okay, here we're going to see NGC11, a galaxy in Andromeda. The queen, or the princess, I think she was a princess. Magnitude 13.7, but 1.5 by 0.3 arc minutes. A 5-to-1 aspected nicely presented edge-on spiral of lowercase a once removed from lenticular. 195 million light years distant puts this at about 75,000 light years in diameter. Right ascension 8 minutes 42 seconds. Declination nicely positioned to the north, plus 37 degrees, 26 minutes and 53 seconds. Looks like a pretty decent view from my angle of an almost 14th magnitude galaxy, but well aspected. NGC13 is a galaxy in Andromeda, also magnitude 13.2, well aspected but a little bit larger. 2.3 by 0.6 arc minutes, so a little less than 4:1 aspect ratio. Spiral with a lowercase ab, so 1.5 times removed from lenticular. 220 million light years in diameter puts this baby at about the size of Messier 31 at about 150,000 light years. We're at right ascension 8 minutes 47 seconds with a declination of plus 33 degrees 25 minutes and 59 seconds. We're still seeing too many studies, but I wanted to do this one. NGC14 is a galaxy in Pegasus. Magnitude 12.1, 2.8 by 2.1 arc minutes, so a little large in terms of size for a 12th magnitude galaxy. It is an irregular with peculiarities, a mere 39 million light years distant, puts us probably at no more than 20 to 5,000 light years in diameter. What I liked about it was the brightness and the irregularity with peculiarities. This is a very young, disturbed galaxy that's just beginning its process of becoming something really presentable as a spiral. We're at right ascension 846 and declination plus 15 degrees, 48 minutes, 56 seconds. Also just barely within the sky middle's third, and you can see the galaxy well presented there, pretty much towards the center of the screen. Skipping over a few, we've now gone to NGC21. Remember, 20 was a reiteration, I think, of NGC8. 21 is a galaxy in Andromeda. It's also NGC29, magnitude 12.7, 2:1 aspect ratio, 1.5 by 0.7 arc minutes, spiral with a bar and a lowercase bc. Look for that bar. 215 million light years distant. We're at right ascension 10 minutes 46 seconds with a declination of plus 33 degrees, 21:08 seconds. There's our look. And there may be several on the screen at this point. Okay, we're soon going to be starting to make some giant leaps so we can cover everything up to NGC 100, maybe 99. NGC 23 is magnitude 12 but large, 2.5 by 1.6 arc minutes, spiral with a bar in lowercase a, 206 million light years distant, puts it about 125,000 light years in diameter. We're at right ascension 9 minutes 53 seconds with a declination of plus almost 26 degrees, 25, 55, 26. Okay, I've selected this next galaxy, NGC 26, not far from the last one because it's a galaxy in Pegasus, magnitude 12.7, 2.1 by 1.4 arc minute, football-shaped spiral with a lowercase ab. But the key thing is it has a ring. So its spiral arms are pretty much wrapped around circularly around the core of the galaxy. It's 208 million light years distant, so about 125,000 light years in diameter. We're at RA 1025, declination plus 25, 49, and 55 seconds. Look for that ring. I really wanted to show you NGC 45 in Cetus, 10.5 magnitude, fairly large galaxy. Wasn't Messier class, might have been on a really good night from Charles Messier, etc. But I did want to show you something a little further south anyway, so I went to NGC 50, a galaxy in Cetus, the Whale, magnitude 12.4, 2.4 by 1.8 arc minute, lenticular spiral. 243 million light years distant gives it an actual size of somewhere around 170,000 light years in diameter. This is a lenticular. It's at right ascension 14 minutes 44 seconds. Declination a little farther south, but I wanted to check the conditions down there. Minus 7 degrees, 20 minutes, and 43 seconds. Have a look. Here's a rather nicely aspected ratio. NGC52 Galaxy and Pegasus, magnitude 13.3, 2.2 by 0.4 arc minutes, almost 6:1 aspect ratio, spiral with a lowercase c, so relatively immature galaxy in terms of star formation. 244 million light years distant. We're at right ascension 1440, declination plus 18 degrees, 34 minutes and 51 seconds. Look for it if you have a scope in the 12 to 15 inch aperture range, and see if you can see some of its tech, or at least some of its frontier. Possibly the brightest galaxy image this evening is NGC57, a galaxy in Pisces, the fishes. Magnitude 11.6, 2.2 by 1.9 arc minutes, but it is an elliptical, so it's a giant globular cluster, more or less. 244 million light years distant means it is a giant, because it's probably somewhere about 150,000 light years in diameter. And when you consider the immense amount of gravitational pull elliptical galaxies have, this thing started out pretty large as a spiral and grew and shrank from there. Right ascension 15 minutes 30 seconds, declination 17 degrees 19 minutes and 40 seconds. There's our look. Does look rather globular-esque, doesn't it? Another brightish galaxy in Pisces, NGC63, magnitude 11.6 but smaller, 1.7 by 1.2 arc minutes. Spiral with peculiarities, a mere 55 million light years distant, puts this probably somewhere around 20,000 light years in diameter. We're at right ascension 17 minutes 45 seconds, declination plus 11:26, 59. You should be able to see this in a 6-inch scope on a really good, decent night, with it culminating to the south. Here we're going after another one of those faintish galaxies, but a little larger and better aspect ratio than earlier. This is NGC74, a galaxy in Andromeda, magnitude 16, but I would question it. It may very well be the blue-violet magnitude, and typically the visual magnitude is about 1 magnitude brighter. This is 0.8 by 0.3 arc minutes, spiral with a lowercase b. 317 million light years distant, somewhere around 75,000 light years in diameter. The right ascension is 18 minutes 49, declination well placed at plus 30 degrees, 3 minutes and 39 seconds. Look for it. I'm kind of seeing it on the screen. How about you? Here we're going to look for NGC85b, Galaxy in Andromeda. And the reason I selected it is because it's got a nice 3:1 aspect ratio for a magnitude 15.5 galaxy at 0.9 to 0.3 arc minutes, spiral with the lowercase bc, 2.5 times removed from lenticular, 257 million light years distant, puts it about 70,000 light years in diameter. It's got a right ascension of 21 minutes 29 seconds and a declination of plus 22 degrees 30 minutes and 21 seconds. Look to see if you can make out the fact that it has kind of a extended aspect ratio presentation. There's probably neighbors on the screen as well, because there's an 85A, which is also a similar magnitude. All right, not far from the 85 series is NGC93. It was just a click on the stepper. It's a galaxy in Andromeda, magnitude 13.3. I selected it, nice aspect ratio, more or less, 1.4 by 0.6 arc minutes, spiral with a lowercase b, 251 million light years distant, right ascension 22 minutes 3 seconds, declination 22 degrees 24:29, and we should be able to squeeze in everything up to NGC100 this evening. All right, our second galaxy with a ring, NGC95, galaxy in Pisces, magnitude 12.5, 2.1 by 0.9 arc minutes. Spiral with a bar and a lowercase c, and that ring, 243 million light years distant, puts it at probably about a little larger than Messier 31, maybe 160,000 light years in diameter. We have a right ascension of 22 minutes 13 seconds and a declination of plus 10 degrees 29 minutes and 30 seconds. Look for that ring, although it's going to be rather distended in shape. May make it a little more difficult than a face-on to pick out. Okay, we really got to do this one. This is NGC96, a galaxy in Andromeda, reasonably well placed. It's a magnitude 17, but actually quite large for that faintness. 0.7 by 0.7 arc minutes, lenticular spiral, 276 million light years distant, means it's something around 65,000 light years in diameter. It's at right ascension 22 minutes 17 seconds with a declination of 2232.46. 17th magnitude galaxy. I'm kind of seeing it on the screen. I suspect it's probably 16th in the visual spectrum. The 17 is probably the blue-violet. So we are seeing it, and it may have neighbors. This one warrants going on to the Sky Live and having a look at the digitized sky survey images that were taken with a 48-inch S. Schmidt camera back in the 1940s and 50s, just to see if there are other galaxies present. Remember, those images are basically about the size of the moon at 30 arc minutes. What you're seeing here is rectangular 20 by 15 arc minutes at 75x. So I'll try to include this in tomorrow's video. Okay, we'll pick out one more after this in the 100 series because I hope to continue these recapitulations of the NGC from last year. This is NGC99, so basically the last one of the 1 to 100 series. Galaxy in Pisces, magnitude 13.6, pretty much face on, 1.4 by 1.3 arc minutes. Spiral of a class C, so relatively undeveloped, and it's got peculiarities, which means it has some kind of gravitational disturbance or undeveloped regions of star formation. 244 million light years distance, so probably about 80,000 light years in diameter, about the size of our own Milky Way, which is probably a little more mature than class C, but I have yet to see data on how mature our galaxy is. It's at right ascension 23 minutes 59 seconds with a declination of plus 15 degrees 46 minutes and 11 seconds. Let's jump into the 100 so we have a nice comparo for tomorrow or the next night I get to be out, and I'll search out something of particular interest, and then maybe we'll have a look at Messier 33 just for the heck of it and triangular. Wow, this is a fine galaxy, but it's very large and extremely edge-on. I cannot believe it. It is NGC100, a galaxy in Pisces, magnitude 13.3, but 5.7 by 0.6 arc minutes. This has got to be the most edge-on presentation I can conceive of, and it's beautiful on the screen. You can see it. Spiral with a lowercase c. 47 million light years distant puts this probably at about 70,000 light years in diameter. It's at right ascension 24 minutes 2 seconds and declination of plus 16 degrees 29 minutes and 9 seconds. Wow, I have yet to, this is a 10-to-1 aspect ratio edge-on spiral slicing its way across the field of view. Spectacular, and ordinarily I would say carpe noctem on this one, but I did promise a look at Messier 33. What a beauty. NGC100. Cannot promise you a great view. We're outside the sky's middle third, and I can see some fuzziness in the atmosphere. About halfway up in the sky, due east. This is Messier 33, as promised, a galaxy in triangular, magnitude 5.7, 68 by 41 arc minutes. We're only seeing maybe the central 40% of this galaxy. It's a mere 3 million light years distant, is located within our own local group of galaxies. Kind of sort of off in the direction of Messier 31 and maybe a half a little bit off by 20 to 30 degrees. As I said, 3 million light years distant puts it about 500,000 light years further distant. It's also about maybe a little more than a third the size of Messier 31. So it's not really a rival to our own galaxy in Messier 31 in terms of presiding over the local group. We're at right ascension 1 hour, 33 minutes, 51 seconds with a declination of plus 30 degrees, 39 minutes, and 27 seconds. And the view is not bad. And with that, I am going to say carpe noctem, seize the night.